Hey, how are you doing? It's good to see everyone, who's nobody yet, but I'm sure that more than 0 people will be joining me shortly. It's Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the Nautilus, drydocks.com. It is like 6:28 on a kind of rainy Thursday evening here in Naples, Florida. In the shop as I usually am, and I got a new angle so that my lights up above don't drown me out. I've got my phone wedged in my cabinet hinges, so it's actually a pretty good angle. Well, hopefully this will work from now on. God, man, got lots of stuff going on. I'd say on average the last probably 2 to 3 months, I've been averaging about 12 to 13 hours a day, trying to keep things going. You guys are keeping me very, very busy, making new stuff and shipping stuff out all over the place. You know, it's a new challenge for me because typically my stock levels, were fairly small. So this is growing pains. So I have to keep a lot more inventory in stock than I'm traditionally used to doing. And that means a concurrent increase in outlay of inventory cash, which is a little bit painful, but it's necessary. We got tons of cylinders coming in. David Merriman, I don't think he's signed in here quite yet. But I think he's got something like 12 or 13 cylinders on the way to me. I've got 25 Nautilus kits coming to me from Masterpiece in California. We've been laying up the new skipjack fitting kits like crazy. I think I just turned 10 of the white metal props on my lathe yesterday morning. So yeah, man, busy. But this is a good thing, and certainly thank you to everybody. This is a problem that I am exceptionally happy to have. So in a rare circumstance, I am indulging in an adult beverage this evening. So if you see me sipping, it's because I'm decompressing and I get to hang out with cool people and talk about submarines. All right, what do we got going on? I don't even remember what I put in my email there, but I can easily start by walking around the shop and talking about what we got going on. So, pardon the shake, I'm gonna disengage you from my cabinet. All right. This is a little static model of the Disney Nautilus. They're going to be going to a customer out of France. And this is a really cool build-up. This features a lot of parts that we developed here at the dry docks that upgrade it. You got these like raised breathers, separate dive planes, unlike the cast-in-place versions that typically come open up side salon openings, all the crew, and this has a full salon interior here as well. You can take a look at it. There's old Ned Land and Conseil and Esmeralda, and on the other side we got the Professor and Nemo over there. It's going to have working propeller and all sorts of cool stuff. So trying to plug away at that. Also got a really cool scale squid that we've developed that's going to be going with that kit as well. So there's the Nautilus, my favorite submarine of all time. In the back there, you can see the main drive unit for the ever-present Type 21. To be brutally honest, it's a fight to get shop time to work on customer builds because I'm just kind of treading water to keep parts going out to people all over the world. But it's coming. It's close. All I've got to do is finish reinstalling the ballast tank, test all the functions, and then we're off to trimming. So this is going to happen I promise. And if Marcel is here, again, apologies for the length of time it's taken to get this done, but it will get done, and it is going to be an epic boat by any definition. Oh, what else we got here? Here is the OTW 4 1/3 inch diameter, 110 millimeter diameter watertight cylinder for the OTW Type R class, which I will show you in a minute. Steven just asked me, what's the largest sub you've ever built? The 21 is going to be. If you take a look at that, that's pretty sizable. That's in a garage. This is like, you know, that's the length of my car. It's 1/30th scale for those of you who want to know exactly how long it is. You can look up the 21 length and calculate it out, because I don't remember. It's been so darn long. Here is something new for you 3D printing fans out there. And if Steve Hodges is on, he knows what we're talking about here. Does anybody recognize these parts, these profiles, these rivets? This is turning out really well. This is going to be, I think, our next 3D printed set of files that you'll be able to download, purchase and download from the nautilusdrydocks.com. This is a rough prototype print just to make sure that everything fits and works. Anybody have any? No, nobody's taking any guesses. Come on, guys. What kind of sub fans are you? Surely somebody knows. No? All right. It's the HMShundley, the Confederate Hundley. Historically important boat, and this is going to be a really cool size. I think it's like 40 or 42 inches in overall length, and I'm going to say this is probably, I don't know, like 3 inches. Is it 3 inches? 3.5 inches in diameter. So a nice sizable boat. Now the trick to this, and again, if Tim Smalley was here, I believe he had one built, and then David Merriman built one as well, if I'm not mistaken. The thing about these boats is that the dive planes are actually fairly close to the center of the boat. And while that may give you depth control, it will not give you any authority over the pitch of the boat. So I think what I'm going to need to do is develop a tilting propeller arrangement very similar to what I use in my 77th and larger, all my Disney Nautilus models. So look for that. Going to be coming out here in the very nearish future. And for those of you who want to know what I got coming up after that, it will be the Ohio class submarine 3D files. Working on that right now, maybe 70% of the way done for those. This is the beginnings of the pile of stuff that I'm going to be bringing to Subfest coming up here in, gosh, it's like 5 days or something crazy. Well, no, it's a week from tomorrow that it starts, but I'm going to be leaving earlier than that, so in 5 days. What you can see here is a 1/144th scale Russian Typhoon. These are 3D printed files as well. For those of you that follow my channel, you've seen this already. I don't need to sell you on it, but if you haven't, it's a beautiful boat. It's like 4 feet long, about 6 inches in beam, and if you build it properly, it's got fully actuating and potentially operational missile doors, and even little missile tubes and missiles in there. So lots of room for you to do whatever you want in there. You can see on the floor, I've got scaled brass props from Robosh that I'll offer for anybody that wants to flesh that model out and turn it into a fully operational boat. That's going to be coming to Subfest to show everybody what it looks like. There's just another angle. I just love these boats. The Typhoon is my favorite modern era submarine, by the way. What you can see here in the background, this is the, oh, let me switch that. My phone keeps rotating. This is the course for Subfest, for the navigation course. And we'll have a number of different competitions at that venue. It's going to be a ton of fun. Looking over here, you can see that R class that I referred to earlier. Now, this started out life built by a gentleman by the name of Steve Neal out of California. This is an OTW kit based out of the UK, and he did a great job. Now, I've done some upgrades and modifications to this. I replaced the rigging. I got a magnetic coupler for the rigging there, and redid all of the linkages inside and refurbished the cylinder. So this is ready to go. It's been out to the lake, but I actually had the electronic speed controller crap out on me, so I just finished swapping that out. I also installed a full set of LED lights for this particular boat, so it is going to be really cool. That's going to be coming to Subfest as well, and it will be offered for sale eventually. Looking in the background here, you can see a few different things, and for you German submarine fans, I'm sure you know what that is. This is the Delphin, one-man submarine in 1/16 scale. That's pretty small. You can see my hand here, but there's still lots of room to install a dynamic diving waterproof container to put all the electronics in. Reason we went with this size is because it's really going to be perfect for the swimming pool, and there are not a lot of actual bona fide RC submarines that you can operate in a small swimming pool. This you will. You'll be able to swim this thing around in like a 3 or 4 foot turning radius. But you can see off to the side there is the much larger version, and that's going to be 1/6 scale. The master patterns for that are on their way to me right now. A very skilled builder by the name of Darren mastered that, and we're going to be offering a traditional fiberglass hull for that, and a cast resin hull kit for the smaller one. Something else that I am getting into, I'm betraying my sub brethren, and I am going to be playing with some of the guys who live out here in my neighborhood, and they go out on the weekends and they run sailboats. Now, I'm not a big, sail under God's power kind of person. I prefer to have some horsepower to go where I want to go. If you followed my channel, a little while back, there was a gentleman out of Miami that was letting an RC boat model go for free. And so I hopped in the car with my son Logan and the dog, and we drove out and we picked it up. And this is what it looks like. I'm going to switch this around and give you guys a better look, because it's actually really cool. This is a bunker boat. Full RC model, and it's sizable. I don't know if you can get an idea of the scale there, but I'm guessing it's about 4 feet long. It weighs about 70 pounds. This was built back in 1991 by a dentist, and he did a really great job on it. It was all, when I got it, it was all full of early 1990s, late 1980s technology. So I gutted it and I put all modern stuff in here. So it's got operational radar, operational lights, a full sound system, and an operational smoke stack in it. But I mean, just take a look at the details on this. Like, it's just awesome. I'm not a boat guy, but I think I'm gonna have a good time running this in the pond. Those guys can have their sailboats. I'll take this thing any day. That's gonna move some water, when it gets up and moving. So yeah, I'll be running that on the weekends here in the local pond. called it the Margie Lou because that was the name of his wife. And I'm gonna keep, you know, I'm not gonna dishonor him by taking that off. I think he did a tremendous job. I'm gonna keep that on there. And he was a dentist, and so there's some teeth on the smokestack there. Just kind of a quirk of the boat. As this does, however, tie into submarines, I heard that these boats were actually used in World War II to deploy submarine nets in some of the bays and that kind of thing. So there you go. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Man, that's what I've got in my shop right now. Let me see if I missed anything here. Man, you guys are being like super quiet. Los Angeles class. Steven said Los Angeles class. Okay, we've got an LA class already. If you take a look on my website, you can download those files and print it. I have actually got in that box over there going to Subfest a 3D printed version of those files. And Steve Hodges actually is printing one out in 72nd scale. I think he's doing a tremendous job. If you take a look on my forums, forums.rc-sub.com, the link's on my website. Take a look at that thread. Steve's doing a tremendous job on that. All right, what else did I miss here? I was talking a lot. Oh, David is here. Yay, Dave. You collaborated. I assume that was back from when we were talking about Hundley. Is that right? You collaborated on that? Yeah, if I understand things correctly, that was a bit of a beast, that Hundley, to operate with those planes, so close. I think that tilting prop thing is going to be just the ticket. And then those forward planes can just be used for depth control. Oh man, my camera's going everything. It will work without the gimbal, keep low critical speed, and it's very manageable. Well, now you just like totally took all the wind out of my sails. What about those watertight boxes? Okay, Dan is here from Canada, Dan Catcher. For those of you who don't know Dan, he is an exceptionally talented modeler out of my old stomping grounds of Vancouver, British Columbia. And he is probably best known for his 1/48 scale DK models German Type 7 boats, which are still around. And I recently had one run through the shop. You can check my videos. That was really, really cool. But I think what he's talking about are these things. Now, on my website, in the blog section, I have something called the MSD, Modular MSS, Modular Subsystem. MSD is the other one that we saw. Anyhow, it's a series of watertight boxes, and I go into all of the parts and the components for what made up a large-scale RC submarine control system. Typically, you're going to end up spending between $600 and $700 outfitting a standard watertight cylinder from any number of manufacturers. When you start talking OTW, you'll be looking at doubling that. They typically retail between $1,100 and $1,300, and then you add to that price, so that's the base price. It ended up costing me about $650 to create the control system out of those watertight boxes. But the cool thing about these, and I showed these to you before, but I can reiterate this again. They're like bulletproof. I believe they've been rated waterproof to 80 feet in depth. So exceptionally high quality. And what I love most about them is the ease of access to getting into the box. So if you're familiar with the Engel boats, you've got a lid and you bolt it down onto the dry hull of your boat, and there's about 800,000 nuts that you need to undo in order to get access to your boat. With this, you simply, if you need access to your internals. There's just 2 latches. 1, 2, and you're in. It is super awesome. These boxes are hard to find. They're typically sold out. They go for between, I think, $20 and $30 a piece, which is money well spent. If you've got a bigger sub, they would be great to house all of your electronics in. Those boxes come in different sizes, so you can potentially scale them to whatever your project looks like. So, Dan, hopefully that answered your question. Do you have any complete models for sale at this time? The number one question everybody asks me, what do you have available for sale? So from time to time, I do have RC submarines that are ready to go for sale. And I put those in the RTR section of my website. The thing you need to realize is that RC submarines are very, very expensive. And I am not in the habit of keeping multiple boats on the shelf at any given time, because you're talking about multiples upon multiples of thousands of dollars sitting there just in case somebody wants that particular boat. So typically you won't do it, but when I come across deals like that R class, I'll pick them up, I'll refurbish them, and offer them for sale. What do I have right now? So nothing. But I do have some boats that I've already purchased that are wallowing in pity up in Canada because of this COVID lockdown. It is nigh impossible for me to get at them. Working on plans right now. What do I have? I think I've got a T-class submarine. I've got a beautiful 48 scale Type 21. That is going to be epic on a scale that few people have seen before. It was built by a German individual over the course of, I believe, 5 years. He finished it and then lost the nerve to actually run it, because the thought of that boat sinking after all that time is not anything that he could stomach. So I've got that coming too. I will also be picking up at Subfest a massive, I believe it's 48 scale Los Angeles class submarine. Huge. I'll have to, I don't even know how I'm going to transport that back. I'll have to keep the tailgate down on my truck. And I have a 70-second scale skipjack RTR coming. That one should be a quick flip, by the way. That's based off of the plastic model kit. So that's what I've got coming. Typically, I'll offer them as is, where is, or completely set up and ready to go if you're willing to wait months and months and months and months for me to get around to it. Yeah, so let me keep going on the comments here, and then I want to talk about that, all right? Love that ship. Yeah, absolutely. I was wondering if you can tell me where I can get those electric timers for the torpedoes on my website. Did you look? They're on my website. Yeah. That is where you want. Let's see here. Is that whiskey? This is whiskey. Yeah. I'm a whiskey fan. I'm particularly a fan of the Japanese whiskeys, in case you guys were wondering. Let's see here. Ice. Did you just tell me to put ice in my whiskey? Oh my gosh. Will you get to see the Type 21? If I don't videotape that, like, for a few days straight and get you guys some video, I'll shoot myself. After all of this time and effort, I'm going to need to do that. So yes, you will see a lot of video above the water, below the water, in the pond, in the swimming pool, and of course going through all of the various systems and subsystems in excruciating detail, to the point where you guys are not going to want to finish watching the video, I'm sure. Let's see here. Does Dan supply a deck and conning tower pieces for his 18th scale Type 7? I don't think so, because he doesn't make an 18th scale. Assuming you're talking about 48th scale, I believe and Dan can chime in there. I think that was a cast resin deck. The boat that I had actually had a custom photo etch deck, and I don't even know where the owner got that. That was an old boat. We're talking like a decade old, and they got that custom made for it. Let's see here. All right. Hey, we're caught up on the comments. Okay. I had mentioned in my email, I wanted to talk about something, and it was our RC Submarines right for me. The issue that brought this to light was I built an RC submarine for a gentleman who will remain nameless, and a boat that will also remain nameless. And what I came to find out, I got an email from that gentleman 2 years later, and he said, hey, my boat sunk. I sent it out for the very first time, and it sunk. I can't get it to work. Please fix it for me. I came to discover that not once in the 2 years or once prior to running it did he even open the cylinder. So he literally, after 2 years, turned it on, threw it in the water, and for whatever reason, there was a leak in it, and down it went. So back to this question, are RC submarines right for me? It takes a certain personality of an individual to purchase, build, own, and operate an RC submarine. I'm going to say that that's like 5% of the population at best. You need to be creative. You need to be talented. You need to be educated. You need to be patient. You need to be meticulous. And if you don't have all of those skills, RC submarines are not for you. I'm sorry to tell you, that is just the honest truth. I'm not being mean, as some people have, I said maintain, as some people have accused me of being mean to you for telling you the truth as I see it. So I'm not going to apologize for that. If you don't have the willingness or ability to get a brand new cylinder that I assembled for you and completely disassemble it and put it back together again, you do not need to own an RC submarine. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. You need to understand how it works, how all of the various pieces connect together, how they talk to each other, where the power comes from. Because what ends up happening is I get an email and people are like, oh, you know, my servo stopped working. Well, you know, I am not going to be able to diagnose your issue from 2,000 miles away. And 90% of the time, it is a very simple issue. The recent issue with the cylinder that I had there, the model wouldn't power up, and a wire for the remote switch had wiggled free. That's it. And what ended up happening, that cylinder traveled back to me 1,000 miles, and I spent 15 minutes resoldering a wire, and it's gonna go back another 1,000 miles back over there. So what I'm getting at is you need to be able to build an RC submarine in order to own an RC submarine. That's kind of the truth of the matter, all right? As David just said, it is not an entry level, and people get it in their minds that money will be able to buy for them what their skill and experience cannot provide to them. And all you end up with is a lot of frustration and wasted money. So, you know, as I said, you know, I get a lot of people from all over the world asking me to build RC submarines for them, and I thank them for the opportunity because I've got the ability to make a little extra money and have fun doing it. However, it's kind of a double-edged sword because without them building it, they don't know how it works. I do the best to educate them, but to a lot of people, these cylinders just look like a mass of wires and little boxes and fuses and brass rods, and it's overwhelming. So again, what I'm trying to say gently is probably something that I should be saying forcibly, but I'm mellowed because I'm drinking excellent whiskey. Just be realistic. If you cannot disassemble what I give you and put it back together again, you have no business owning that submarine. There you go. I said it. All right. Let's see here. There was somebody talking about, can you make Los Angeles files? Again, this is like the second time you've asked me about this. I've got those files on my website already. Ta-da, done. Look before you leap. Check my site before you talk. Maybe I haven't drank enough to be that mellow yet. I apologize. If I came off grumpy, I apologize. They're there already. Download them, scale them. You can make it whatever size you want. My Astute files were originally 96 scale. I just scaled them and printed them out to a friend at 48 scale. That was a big boat. I got that video on my website too. Check that out. Hey, Bob, bought the Russian Typhoon files the other way. Do you have a complete dive-in electronics package available to finish it? Yes. Hit me up. I'll hook you up. You are going to be looking for either, and I would probably recommend the 250, 300, 250 MSD. It'll fit nicely in there, the twin shaft variant. It's $650. I would also recommend the electronic pitch controller, 82, and the battery and link monitor fail-safe device. You're also going to require a 3300 milliamp lithium polymer battery. And I would grab the 1/8 inch stainless steel drive shafts and, of course, the brass propellers that I have for sale. If that is all too much for you to remember, hit me up. I'll put a package together for you. And you can just have it all over with in one painful shot. They're going to be really cool. I am looking forward to the first people showing their completed RC submarines with that Typhoon. Again, my favorite modern submarine. Let's see here. What is a good motor for the 66-inch Nautilus? Well, that all depends, Dan. Do you want it to go like it went in the movie, or do you just kind of want it to, like move along at a decent pace? Like a 550 or 650 series brushless motor is probably a pretty good choice. I'm becoming a huge fan of brushless motors. However, you can get some fairly large brushless outrunners, and typically you need an outrunner and not an inrunner, although inrunners are better because the outrunners have the lower kV rating, so the slower RPMs, which is what we want. We don't need to spin that prop at 12,000 RPM. It needs to spin at 5,000 or 6,000. So, a hefty 800,000 kilovolt brushless, running off 3 cells, 11.1 volts would move it along really nicely. But for those of you who grew up, like I did with no money and having to figure things out on a budget, a really great source for superb brushed motors can be found at your local auto wreckers. And you're looking for the fan motor for the heater in a vehicle. Typically, they're going to be about 10 pole, internally suppressed. That was the motor that I used on my very first Nautilus. And it was utterly silent, and it drew something like 1.5 amps at full throttle. So, nothing, and smooth as silk. and it cost me $4.99 from a surplus auto store. So you can get all sorts of cool stuff from unexpected places. So there you go. Hopefully, Dan, that answers your question, and you can get another Nautilus going here. Lawrence is building a watertight container. You know, man, not a lot of people go that route, but there's nothing wrong with it, provided you are aware of the fact that increased surface area to seal obviously exponentially increases the propensity for leaks to occur. So the more surface area you're trying to seal, the more surface area is prone to leaks, and a higher degree probability that it is going to leak on you eventually, which is why cylinders work really, really well, because you've got a very small surface area that you're sealing, and also you've got a cylindrical cross section, which is easy to seal against. So bear that in mind. I'm not harping on your design. I would love to see it. Send me pictures. All right? That would be great. Is 3D printing the future of RC submarine building? Dave, would you care to answer this question? The answer is yes, unequivocally. It's not quite there yet. We're close. The Hundley is printed in PLA plastic. It's basically vegetable derivative, exceptionally easy to print with, and it makes very, very high quality prints. Like with a coat of primer, you're not even going to be able to see the striations in this. But it melts at a very low temperature and can warp in the sun. Now, there's new plastics coming out, and one that I've been experimenting with is called ASA. And it's more like an ABS plastic, and it melts with the same sort of solvents as ABS. So it makes it for a much more durable model, but it is an order of magnitude harder to print because you need a fully enclosed build chamber that's heated and a heated build plate capable of going up to around 100 degrees. Pretty hot. If you are going to make an investment, a long-term investment, hobby grade printers that you're going to pick up for $500 aren't going to cut it. You're going to need something with an enclosed build chamber and a heated bed with as large a build capacity as you can. I recently invested in a Wasp Delta 3D printer. It is pretty darn awesome. It's got like a 20-inch tall build volume. But it's pretty narrow and it's cylindrical. Well, it was also $3,000, you know, as opposed to like $600 for some of the PLA printers. So keep that in mind. If you're hunting for a printer and you're making a long-term investment, you're going to want something that you'll be able to print in the more robust materials. And then you also get all of the extra fun stuff too, like remote viewing or remote queuing, you know, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question. You can't tell people the truth. Let's see here. Doing the astute in 70-second. Good job, Chris. Man, you know, that was the first 3D file that I did. I did it on SketchUp, and you know, in hindsight, it's kind of amateurish, but God, did that boat ever turn out cool. The British make cool looking boats. You know, and I'm sure there's some Americans there that are going to scoff at that and say, well, we still build the best, but Americans build good subs, but the British and Russians build beautiful subs, and that's the truth. Prove to me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Anyhow, Astute is a very cool boat. The one thing that I will mention, if you're printing that in 70-second scale, the impeller on that boat is a big challenge. It does its scale to the full-sized boat, but impellers do not scale down and work the same way. So, you know, potentially what you might want to do is use the revised shroud that I've included in all of the new downloads And you may even just want to use a conventional 7-bladed or 6-bladed or 5-bladed or even 3-bladed propeller. 3-blade with massive surface area is going to be inside the shroud. You're never going to see it anyway, but that's going to give you maximum thrust. So that might be something that you want to think about. From a performance perspective for the RC crowd, I've got impeller files in there and they look really, really cool when you install them. But yeah, might not offer the best performance. Let's see here. Am I getting... Okay. Gear ratio. Dan, gear ratio for that motor, I missed that before. Direct drive. But I mean, obviously, if you find a 10,000 RPM motor and it's really beautiful and you love it a lot, you're going to want something like a 2-to-1, gearbox, gear reducer. Okay. 35th Bronco Type 23 is wondering what you use to open and close the torpedo doors. Okay, sure. There's lots of ways of going about that. This is, I'm going to see if I can show this. This is just how I did this. It is super, ultra, exceptionally easy. Let me see if I can make this work. How's that? So the torpedoes, this was set up for 4 torpedoes forward, and then the linkage was, on the bottom, although you could certainly put underneath, and had 6 operational torpedo tubes. But yeah, this is basically the way I have it set up. I'm looking at it from the front. So I don't know if that helps you or not, but there's lots of different ways of going about it. Now that is a direct linkage. So as the servo moves, the door moves, concurrently. I've seen people, and I've talked to people who've actually put magnets. So they offer a repulsive force. So, and they push against an arm that forces the door closed. So the magnet pushes it open as that arm retracts, and then the arm pushes forward and closes it. I've seen elastic bands, I've seen springs, there's 100 different ways to skin that cat. It's whatever you want to do that kind of makes sense. This physical linkage, I find works really well. Give it a shot. There's lots of stuff going on. Let's see here. Boy, I'm like way down. You guys have been talking. Need a new MSD for my 39-inch Seaview. Which one on your site would fit the best? It would be the one for the Seaview. It is not the MSD. The MSDs, the smallest diameter is 2.5 inch diameter. The smaller ones, the 2-inch diameter, as the Seaview would be, are the traditional subdrivers, which still work amazingly awesome, but they are the one-piece body. So if you go on my website, it is the 2-inch by whatever it is, I can't remember, 29-inch subdriver. I think I got 5 of those in stock right now, ready to go. Yeah, dual shaft, nice big ballast tank on it to get that up out of the water, but sized specifically for Seaview. What is the difference with the 2 Vanguard kits you sell on your site? Okay, well, they come from 2 different vendors. The first is OTW out of the UK, and the second one is Beck's Model Marine, also out of the UK. OTW has been around for forever. It's Bob Dimmack, builds exceptional products. Beck's Model Marine is a newcomer to the scene. He's stirring up all kinds of shit, but doing a good job. I've been talking with him about repping his kits, and we'll get that out there. We'll let people decide which way they want to go. It's 2 kits, the same subject. They're just going to be slightly different. The Beck's has a little bit more, like detail in the hull. It's the old Shearline products. For those of you that are familiar with Shearline, Beck's took that over. So I am now selling the Trafalgar, the Vanguard, and the Akula, and potentially they're going to have their Ohio going. But if you want a super sneaky upgrade, I just pulled today from the old original Copeland molds. Dave, this one's for you. A beautiful master pattern for the creation of new molds, 196 scale Ohio class submarine. So if that works out well, we'll have an Ohio from the dry docks to add to a roster of products. So yes, that is the difference. They come from two different people. Same subject, I believe they're in the same scale too. Let's see here. Am I going to bring items for sale to Subfest? Probably not. This wasn't really my intention for it to be like a Nautilus dry docks, like mobile storefront. This is just a bunch of people getting together in a beautiful venue to run and talk about submarines. I'm going to bring some boats, that I have, and there will most likely be products that I offer there, but I'm not going to have like a mobile storefront. I'll just ship it to you. Unless, of course, you want to buy it, and I'll bring it with me, and then you can pick it up from Subfest. How's that sound? Let's see here. Do you have any plans for an Akula package? Yes, after Ohio. I've got the files already. It's just a matter of slicing and configuring them for the optimum RC configuration. In your opinion, why is the RC submarine hobby more popular in Europe than in North America? Because of the cost, or we as Americans want it out with no effort? We are all lazy. Yeah, that's a good question. And, I don't know if that's even necessarily the truth, that it's more prevalent, in Europe. It seems to me, based on my limited experience, that the Europeans are more apt to get their hands dirty and scratch build stuff than Americans traditionally are now, if that makes sense. I think the Europeans are still a little bit in that mind frame. They're also certainly not afraid to kit bash submarines and use off-the-shelf parts from the hardware store and whatever. Here's the dirty little secret, behind a lot of the products that I carry, is you can get them other places for cheaper, but I have to carry them, I have to stock them, and you pay the price for that. I don't think that mentality is as valid in Europe. I think they're more willing to do the research and find out where they can get an equivalent for cheaper that may work as well as the product that you're trying to offer them. And it could be as well, our perception of how busy they are over there comes a lot from their social media, right? Facebook, YouTube channels and that kind of thing. They could just be that they're better at that, or more commonly post to it. So maybe. Let's see here. If you saw my question about the 3D LA, maybe you also saw the one about a Red October variant of a Typhoon. I'm not interested in that. If someone wanted to pay me to re-engineer the stern of that boat, yeah, sure. What I would be more interested in is making an add-on for this file for Caterpillar doors. I really seriously thought about that, but that project had drug on for so long, I didn't want to delay it any longer. I just think it would be the coolest thing to have those big doors open up, fore and aft as a mock Caterpillar drive. Obviously the Red October submarine was at the time America's best guess as what the Typhoon looked like under the water, because nobody had ever seen what it looked like under the water, and so they kind of took some creative license and said, well, it's dual prop. We know it's a dual prop. It leaves like 2 wakes behind it. But maybe it'll have a dive plane. We'll put this gigantic like football field flapper behind them, and it'll look like some sort of giant mutant beaver, and yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Obviously the idea was that it was based off of the Typhoon class submarine. That is a Typhoon class submarine. That should have been what Red October looked like. That's just my opinion. You know, if you had your heart set on the beaver tail version, you know, again, if you want to pay me, you know, at $60 an hour to 3D draft you a new stern, we can talk. But it'll be a while because I got other stuff going on that's probably higher priority. But yeah, Caterpillar doors on the. I think that's probably what we would do. All right. Where is the hotel? Are you talking about Subfest? So there is no officially sanctioned Subfest hotel, primarily being because kind of when we got started on this, we didn't think there's going to be a lot of people. And it kind of turned out that that's not necessarily the case. We've got about between 35 and 40 people registered right now, and that is the people who actually took the time to pre-register. There's going to be people who have just elected not to pre-register who will be showing up, and people who have heard about it through my advertising for the local towns around there who will be showing up as well. So to get back to the hotel thing, we didn't pick any, but I did in the handbook, which I'm sure you downloaded so that you know everything that's going on in the agenda, prizes and donors and all that stuff. But there's 3 towns within driving distance. I think is it Cleveland to the north, Duluth to the south, and Chattanooga to the west. And I was just in Chattanooga. That is a cool town. I love Chattanooga. When I finally get my pilot's license, Renee and I have decided that we're going to fly back there quite often and hang out with all the Chattanoogians, which is, I'm sure, what they're called down there. But there's tons and tons of options out there. Almost any hotel chain, any motel chain that you can think of are going to be within a 30-minute drive. You can camp on site. You can bring an RV. You can bring a tent trailer. You can be tents. You can do whatever you want. Sleep in your car or whatever. Or for those of you who are last minute, and I don't know if they still have it, I am staying at a place called the Walnut Hill Farm. And that is to the south about like 8 miles, super close, absolutely gorgeous. So that is where we're staying. It's like they've got like individual little like rooms, and they're all modern, and it's really cool and super close. I don't know what we're going to do for food. Hey, but I just found out today, for those of you who are interested, there is Wi-Fi there, and the concession stand will be open. Every morning they're going to be offering danishes and coffee for purchase, as well as lunches, and then we're going to have dinner plans each evening, which is going to be super awesomely fun. All right. Oh man, you guys are like way talking ahead of me. Can a Typhoon be printed in 70-second scale? If you got a big enough printer, yes, you can. Let's see here. Group rate. Hey, I caught up. Good deal. With 10 minutes to spare, and I'm just finishing the last sip of my drink. Now I'm out of stuff to talk about. I can talk about the Subfest. Like, it's well, let's not. Article on waterproofing servos. Would this also work on torpedoes? Oh, fill them with oil? Okay, the issue that I've run into with torpedoes. So hey, let's talk about torpedoes. First and foremost, no, we do not sell Dave Merriman's 1/72nd scale torpedo system. So stop asking. I was working on a 32nd scale system for these ones. And to be honest, I don't have the time to put a commercial product together. I know there's a massive call for it. It's just prioritization for me. I'm struggling just to keep cylinders and other subcomponents going out the door. So that is where we're at for that. Now, talking about torpedoes. If you want to make an electric torpedo, the issue that I ran into with those is the weight of the torpedoes. So I mean, obviously you're putting a motor, batteries or capacitor, a switch, a timer module. All these things weigh more than the water that they would displace, so they would therefore sink. If you fill the aforementioned torpedo with oil, it is going to sink like a rock. So you would need to have voids inside or foam sections of some kind, carefully engineered to such a degree that they are perfectly balanced, slightly positively buoyant. All right. So that is kind of the issue. I had great luck simply ballasting my torpedoes. The components inside were fairly cheap. I think the motor was a couple of bucks, the battery was a couple of bucks, and the timer was like 10 bucks. So, worst case scenario, if it catastrophically floods, you might be out 20 bucks or something like that. But I didn't have any problem when I was running my electric torpedoes. And you can waterproof, the important parts too. The motors don't mind getting wet. The electronic switch could easily be coated with, resin, wax, or any other number of cool components to make it waterproof. The lithium polymer battery might not be a good thing to get wet, so you might want to think about that twice. But yeah, it's all doable. And as Dave mentioned, for a commercial vendor to put out a torpedo kit, particularly gas-powered torpedo kit, the liability involved is just astronomical. You're going to get the aforementioned people that I was talking about earlier who don't know how to put their subs together. They don't know how to charge their torpedoes either, and they're going to blow their fingers off, or it will shatter, and even though the instructions say to wear safety glasses, it'll go in their eyeball, and it'll just be like all sorts of like terribleness. Nerf torpedo. Hey, now you're talking, Rick. I like that. Actually, you know what I like better is Nerf missiles. That'd be cool. That would work really well. That Typhoon would lend itself exceptionally well to functional missiles. And the files come with the missile shells, and you could print them hollow. You could do almost anything you want. I think a water jet powered missile, that's the ticket. That would look pretty darn cool. So yeah, that's my torpedo spiel there. I have a great passion with submarines, but I stated over the years you don't even own one, not even my beloved Nautilus. Is it because you build them and just don't fall in love with them? So I've talked about this before, and this is a good place to end, all right? Unless someone has a pressing question. I love RC submarines, but what I love most about them is the ever-changing challenge of building them. To make something work in a fashion and scale that it was never meant to work in. And what I love about it is I've built almost one of everything out there, and every boat is different. Every kit is different. Every cylinder is different, and even no two builds are quite the same. So for me, that passion that you're referring to comes from being able to flex my creative muscles and problem solve, and build something with my own two hands that I can be proud of and pass along to somebody that is appreciative of those efforts. So that is where my passion comes from. I own subs, and I always say I'm never going to sell this. I'm going to build it. I will say, however, that I have squirreled away for myself, for my retirement, my Uber project, a 1/35th scale Disney Nautilus CR66 Gen 3 model kit. And when I sink my teeth into that, it will allow me to utilize all of the collective knowledge that I've gleaned over the years to build a boat that I will be exceptionally proud to own. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't get attached to boats. I got no problem sinking 100 hours into a build and letting it go. There's no tears shed for that. you know, I got out of that relationship what I needed to get out of it. So there you go. Hope that answered your question. And that is going to wrap up yet another stimulating edition of RCSubGuy Live. I thank all of you guys for joining me. There's like at least 50 of you in there, and you were exceptionally talkative this time. That is great. I love not having to make shit up. I can just answer questions. It saves my brain power for other more important things. I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to leave you with this, though. Make sure you stay tuned into my channel, because coming up next weekend, I am going to be live streaming from Subfest. Obviously, going to be recording everything for posterity. We're going to be writing an article for the subcommittee report. If you're a subcommittee member, I would highly recommend joining if you're not. We'll be documenting everything, but make sure you join us live. The raffles are closed. You did have the opportunity to purchase raffle tickets for some awesome RC Submarine stuff. People who are at the event will have the option of purchasing more tickets. I am going to say, just so that you know, and there's going to be a few of you on here right now, and if you're not on, you'll be watching this later. There was the option to purchase raffle tickets at no price. Now, the purpose behind the raffle tickets was to either support a number of charities, the American Cancer Society or the Animal Rescue Society, or to fund the event and future events. But due to Florida law, I could not offer tickets that you needed to pay for. There needed to be a free option. I am going to go out on a limb here and say I'm exceptionally disappointed with the individuals that elected to not pay for a raffle ticket. Seems pretty petty to me. One heretofore unnamed individual decided to purchase 16 free tickets in an effort to scoop that from somebody that actually put forth money to support a charity. And again, not super impressed with that particular individual. But hey, that's what it is. My little rant is over. Everybody gets a chance at it. If the fates are kind, though, it will select an individual that supported our hobby. I'm going to leave it with that. I want to leave it on a good note. I appreciate all of you. Obviously, without you, I couldn't be doing this for a living, which is every man's dream. Find something you're passionate about. You never work a day in your life, right? So thank you to everyone. I will let you go at that. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next time. This is Bob Martin, the RC Sub Guy with the NautilusDryDocks.com. We will catch you next time.